Hello, Math 7 students. We are beginning lesson 19. And so in my table of contents, the name of lesson 19 is percents greater than 100 and less than 1. And this can be found in my comp book on page 45. I'm going to turn there, page 45. And here we are. So percents greater than 100 and less than 1. Now, a lot of times kids don't believe that you can have a percent greater than 100 because then your amount is exceeding the denominator of always being 100. But it is possible to have a percent greater than 100. It is also possible to have a percent less than 1. The two places that you usually find these is percents greater than 100 are usually dealing with stock market issues and stuff like that. And then percents that are less than 1 are usually dealt with in like banking or things that have to do with money. Sometimes you're looking at percentage rates of bank accounts or loans or things like that. So that's usually where you find these two pieces of percents greater than 100 or less than 1. Our goal for today is, we will learn how to convert percents greater than 100 and less than 1 to decimals and fractions. So we're still doing the change from a percent to a decimal or a fraction, and so your flip book will still be really helpful with this, but we're going to focus on changing the percents into decimals or fractions that are greater than 100 or less than 1. The question that I want you to be thinking about when we're working through this is, what is the denominator of a percent that is greater than 100? Hopefully you'll be able to answer that by the time we get done. So things to remember. And I keep saying this over and over and over again, but it's really, really, really important that you remember this. All percents, no matter the size, have a denominator of 100. So it can be greater than 100, still has a denominator of 100, less than 1, and it still has a denominator of 100, because what makes a percent is that you always have a denominator of 100. So percents, things to remember, a percent means or equals per 100, always, no matter what. And that's going to help us do this next step. So the next step that we're going to work on is we're going to work on converting percents greater than 100. Okay, so let's talk about what that may look like. So we're going to draw a table, and you have a table that looks like this, and you're going to have a column for percents, you're going to have a column for decimals, and you're going to have a column for fractions. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to take our percent, and we're going to turn it into a decimal, and then we're going to turn it into a fraction. Doesn't matter which one you do first. I absolutely don't mind which one you do first. So if we're going to convert 50% into a decimal, okay, if we remember, you go to percent, you flip open where it says convert to a decimal, and it says divide the number by 100. So I'm going to take that number right there, and I'm going to divide it by 100, just like this, okay, remembering to put my decimal point. So can 100 go into 5 evenly? The answer is no. Can 100 go into 50 evenly? The answer is no. Can 100 go into 500 evenly? The answer is yes. 5 times, so you put your 5 next to the decimal point, and you subtract, and you get 0. So the decimal for 50% is 0 and 5/10. That's what you should come up with. Okay, now we're going to take 50% and we're going to turn it into a fraction, which says write the number as the numerator and 100 as the denominator. Simplify if possible. Okay, so I'm going to take the number and I'm going to write it as the numerator with a denominator of 100, just like it says, and I can simplify. 50 goes into 50 one time, so I divide it by 50. What you do to one side, you have to do to the other, so I'm going to take 100 divided by 50, and I get 2. So the fraction for this percent is 1/2. The decimal for this percent is 0 and 5/10, and that matches 50%. Okay, so now that was a quick warm-up. Now we're going to try it again, and this time we're supposed to do 100. Okay, So let's take a look at 100. So 100 is the percent. Again, you take the number and you divide it by 100. So the question is, can 100 go into 100? The answer is yes, one time. So we do that, we subtract. Let's put a decimal point just so that we can see what happens. How many times can 100 go into 0? 0 times. So you now have found your decimal, and your decimal looks like that. Okay? So now let's take this and turn it into a fraction, and it says that you take the number and you write it over a denominator of 100. Okay, well that's not so hard. 100 divided by 100 to simplify is 1. So this could be your fraction, or you could even say that that's your fraction, depending on what you're looking for. So this is the decimal for 100%. This is the fraction for 100%, and now you've done it. Okay, so now the next one on the table says 150. So we're going to do the same steps. So 150 is right here. Okay, again, you take the number and divide it by 100. So we have the number divided by 100. Can 100 go into 150? The answer is yes. Okay, let's back up. Can 100 go into 1 evenly? No. Can 100 go into 15 evenly? No. Can 100 go into 150 evenly? The answer is yes, one time. So we subtract, and we're left with 50. Put a decimal point, bring down the 0. Can 100 go into 500? The answer is yes. Okay, and so when we do that, we receive a 0 here, so we know we're done. And so our decimal for this one is 1 5/10. That's our decimal. Okay, so now we have to take that percent and turn it into a fraction. And so we remember we take the number and we divide it by 100. 100 is always the denominator. And then we can simplify that by dividing them both by 10. So we're going to divide this by 10, divide this by 10. 100 divided by 10 is 10. 150 divided by 10 is 15/10. Then we can divide this one by 5, and we can divide this one by 5. And so we get 15 divided by 5 is 3. 10 divided by 5 is 2. And that would be your fraction that you are done. Okay? Do you understand what we're doing, boys and girls? So here's a question for you. Is this a percent greater than 100? No. Is this a percent greater than 100? No. Is this a percent greater than 100? Yes. Okay, do you see it, boys and girls? All right, one more. What if we have a percent that is 200? How would we do it? Okay, so again, same steps. Take the number, divide it by 100. So we're dividing by 100. Can 100 go into 2 evenly? No. Can 100 go into 20 evenly? No. Can 100 go into 200 evenly? Yes, 2 times. And that's where you get your 0, so you know you're done. Where would the decimal point sit if we had one? Right here. So bring down a 0. How many times can 100 go into 0? The answer is 0. So our decimal point for this answer looks like that. Okay? Then to turn it into a fraction, you do the number with a denominator of 100, which can simplify to divide this by 100, divide this by 100, and you get 2 over 1. And there's your fraction. Okay? So boys and girls, it's a very, very easy process if you follow the rules. And it is possible to have a percent greater than 100. Is this percent greater than 100? The answer is yes. Okay? Let's try one more really quickly where they don't give us the percent, but they give us the decimal. So what if they gave us a decimal that looks like that? So now we go over to our handy-dandy flipbook. We start out with a decimal. We're changing it to a percent. So let's remember what the rule says. Multiply the decimal by 100, and then don't forget to put the percent sign. Okay, so that's pretty easy. So we're going to percent. So we take 1 7/75 times 100. So 0, 0, 0, placeholder, 0, 0, 0, placeholder, placeholder, 5, 7, 1. Add them all together. Pretty simple math, 2 decimal points over. So now we have 175%. Okay? And that's how you solve it. Now we need to find the fraction. So again, you start out with a decimal. You're changing it to a fraction. Read the decimal mathematically out loud and write what you say. Simplify if possible. So 1 and 75 hundredths. Well, that wasn't so bad. So we get 1, divide this by 5, divide this by 5. 75 divided by 5 is 15. 100 divided by 5 is 20. So we can go again. Divide this by 5, divide this by 5. 15 divided by 5 is 3. 20 divided by 5 is 4. So our final fraction is 1 3/4. Okay? So boys and girls, those are all percents greater than 1. Okay? Now I want to switch gears, and I'm going to turn the page. And now I want to focus on percents less than 1. So we have another table. I had to go to a new page. Remember to write your title up at the top. Percents greater than 100 and less than 1. So I have percents less than 1 as our focus now. Again, you're going to make your table. And this time, we're going to practice percents that are going to be less than 1. So we're going to make our table again. Okay, and this time, we're going to start with 100. Okay, just like we did on the other side. So when you have a percent and you're turning it into a decimal, you're supposed to divide the number by 100. So 100 divided by 100 is 1. If we add a decimal point, we can do that. So we have 100 minus, bring down your 0. 0 can go into 0 times. So the decimal for this percent is 1.0. Turning it into a fraction, you take the number and put it over a denominator of 100. So you have 100 divided by 100. So there's the fraction. Or you could say it is 1. Okay, very quick review. We already did that one. Okay, the next one that we're going to do, it says 10%. Okay, so follow the same rule. Take the number and divide it by 100. Can 100 go into 1? The answer is no. Evenly. Can 100 go into 10 evenly? The answer is no. Can 100 go into 100 evenly? The answer is yes, one time. But notice I had to put a decimal in there to find it. So then we subtract it out and we get 0. So what is our decimal for 10%? Our decimal for 10% is 0 1/10. Okay? And now we take the number and we write it over a denominator of 100, and then we simplify. So we say 10 divided by 10 is 1. 100 divided by 10 is 10. And so our fraction is 1/10. Okay? All right, let's try another one. Okay? And our next one is 1%. 1%. So again, you take the number, divide it by 100. Okay, can 100 go into 1 evenly? The answer is no. Can 100 go into 10 evenly? The answer is no. Can 100 go into 100 evenly? The answer is yes, but look what I had to put in there in order for this to work. So bring your decimal point straight up. So can 100 go into 1? The answer is no. Can 100 go into 10? The answer is no. Can 100 go into 100? The answer is yes, one time. Subtract it out. And now the decimal for 1% is 0 1/100. So that's the decimal point for that one. Okay, now again, you take the number and you divide it by the denominator of 100, and there is your fraction, 1/100. Okay, let's try another one. What if we were given 0 1/10%? Ooh, these are getting harder, guys. Okay, so it says that you're supposed to take the number that you have and divide it by 100. So we're going to take that number, 0 1/10, and put it in the house and divide it by 100. Can 100 go into 0 evenly? No. Can 100 go into 1 evenly? No. Can 100 go into 10 evenly? No. Can 100 go into 100 evenly? Yes, one time. So you have 1 times 100, and you subtract it out, and you get 0. Does everybody see that? Do you see what we did? So you have to bring your decimal point up, and so our decimal point answer for this one is 0 and 1/1000th. Do you guys see it? Okay, so you've got to pay really close attention to your decimal rules in order for it to work for you. Okay, boys and girls, do you understand that? So now we have to write it as a fraction. So you take the whole number. So we have 0 and 1/10 with a denominator of 100, which we can write that an easier way. Read this out loud. 1/10. So what we really have is 1/10 divided by 100. Okay? Hopefully you're seeing that. So then what we have to do in order to do this is you have 1/10 divided by 100. And you know what to do with these, right? You have to find a common denominator. So we're taking 1/10 divided by 100 over 1. So the common denominator is going to be 10. So we have 1/10 divided by, how do you get from 10 to 1, or 1 to 10? You times it by 10. So what do you do to one side? You have to do to the other. 100 times 10 is 1,000. And so divide straight across, and you get 1 divided by 1,000. Okay, so the fraction for this one is 1/1000th. Now, read that out loud and read this out loud. Do they match? Then you know you got it right. Okay, so 1/10% is the same thing as 1,000th. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. It's getting a little bit hectic here. All right, so let's try one more, okay? And you have, what would it be if you were given 0 and 100%? Whew, it's getting harder, guys. I think you can handle it, though. So you take the number and you divide it by 100. Remember, here we go. Can 100 go into 0? No. So we put 0 there. Now we have 0, 0. Can 100 go into 0? Bring your decimal point up. No. So now we have 0, 0. And now we have, can 100 go into 1? The answer is no. So we bring a 0. Can 100 go into 10? The answer is no. So we bring a 0, and we still have 10. Bring another 0. Can 100 go into 100? Yes, finally. Phew, we found it. So our decimal for this number is 0 and 10ths, 100ths, 1000ths. So our answer is 1/10,000th. All right, let's find the fraction for it. Are you ready? So we said that this is 1/10,000th. So we have to write 1/10,000th divided by 100. So let's write it a different way that we know. 1/10,000th divided by 100 over 1. So we have to find a common denominator. So we have 10,000th, 1/10,000th divided by, this is going to be 10,000ths also. But here's the question. How did you get from 1 to 10,000? You have to multiply 100 by 10,000. Holy moly, this is turning into a huge number. So count your zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have to write a 1 with 6 zeros behind it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, good grief. So now this says that we have 1/1,000,000th. Because, look, 10,000 divided by 10,000 is 1. What is 1 divided by 1,000,000? It's 1/1,000,000th. So our answer in a fraction form is 1/1,000,000th. In a decimal form, it is 1/10,000th. And then in our percent form, it is like that. Okay? So we'll play around with this one specifically in class again tomorrow. What I would like you to do or try is let's see if you can play with these two right here. Is this 2/5% a percent less than 1? Answer yes or no, and then try it. See what you can come up with. See if you can figure it out. And then I have one more for you. Is this 3 2/5% a percent greater than 100? Yes or no? And then see if you can figure out how to tell me how that works. Okay? So these are scary. These are crazy. We will spend more time on them together in class, but let's go back to our question of the lesson. What is the denominator of a percent greater than 100? You should know that answer easily. All right, my darlings, have a good one. I'll see you soon. Bye.